dingy little bookstore in the East Village. Nonchalantly, he reaches at random for a book. Moby Dick, it's called, and it's not even pornographic. Although it could be called obscene. Heading out to sea to kill a big whale just because it's, well, big. And things aren't much different now either. The way those so-called research programs involve hunting down those innocent, blubbery creatures. Speaking of which... No, that's too cruel. She's not fat. Not even especially overweight, in fact. Although she could do with a little more muscle tone. She should try hefting a few of these books around instead of sitting there scribbling in her little notebook all day. He opens the first page of his book and reads, "Call me Ishmael." Well, sure, if that's your name. Pleased to meet you, Ishmael. My name's... What is my name today? It needs to be something with a hint of mystery, an undercurrent of danger. A name a spy might have, or the hero in a cowboy movie. Something like John Rambo or James Bond. Hi, the name's Gordon. Flash Gordon. Want to see why I'm called Flash? He feels her eyes on him. They're her redeeming feature. Those eyes, huge and wide and wet. They make Bambi look shifty in comparison. She doesn't realize what an asset those peepers are. She should use them to her advantage a little more often. Her tits, too. That's quite a rack she's got there. If she unfastened a couple of buttons, she'd have guys eating out of her hand and drooling into her cleavage. He looks across at her, and she bows her head even further. She brings pen to paper, pokes out her tongue in mock concentration. But he knows that in another few seconds her head will tilt slightly upwards, and her eyes will roll around in their sockets until they can lock onto him again. She's smitten, is what she is. He's not surprised by this, and he acknowledges it without arrogance. Girls go for him. They find him attractive. Years ago, he went to live in Paris, France. The only thing he was good at was languages. Science and technology just never interested him. So, moving somewhere where his forte might actually come in useful seemed a potentially fruitful idea at the time. He ended up teaching English at a girls' school. Now, that was an experience. It began with the suggestive remarks. Passages of text would be deliberately mistranslated to give them lewd overtones. Some of the girls would exploit any opportunity to sit next to him, sidling up close and sucking on their pencils, one too many buttons unfastened on their virginal white blouses. Others would jockey for position at the front of the classroom, affording them an optimal view of the shadowy region beneath his desk. They would sit there, whispering and giggling and constructing their fantasies. He let it all pass him by. He knew what they were doing, but was never tempted to succumb. He saw them initially as childish, later as faintly ridiculous, later still as irritating and even despicable. They held no attraction for him. Not those girls, anyway. There were others, however. The less than beautiful ones. The quiet ones. The girls who would sit at the back of the class, hiding their faces and their fears and their very presence. The vulnerable ones. They were the ones who fascinated him. He would go out of his way to talk to those girls, much to the chagrin of their more assertive and voluptuous classmates. When he could do so without inviting criticism of his motives, he would chat to them in private. And what he quickly discovered was that he had a talent for getting them to open up to him.